Penguin Random House Audio presents Thomas Cromwell, A Life, by Diarmaid MacCulloch, read for you by David Rintoul. Thomas Cromwell was a freak in English history, and that, perhaps, is why he has been so disliked. An iron-fisted bureaucrat who crammed into his brief reign the kind of process which, in England, we like to maintain, is carried out insensibly over centuries. He overhauled the machinery of government as it had never been overhauled since the reign of Henry VIII, and he overhauled it so drastically that much of it was not radically altered till the reign of Victoria. In 600 years of history he stands out as the most radical of modernizers. Modern history, if it begins anywhere, begins, in England, with him. Hugh Trevor Roper, Historical Essays, 1957. Introduction. Thomas Cromwell's name has happily become much more familiar in the last decade, thanks principally to Hilary Mantel's inspired novel series beginning with Wolf Hall. To call them historical novels does them an injustice. They are novels which happen to be set in the 16th century, and with a profound knowledge of how that era functioned. Novels they remain, as Mantel herself has frequently, and with mounting weariness, emphasized to would-be critics. This book is different. It invites you, the reader, to find the true Thomas Cromwell of history by guiding you into the maze of his surviving papers, and a real maze they are, composed of thousands on thousands of individual documents. The journey is worth making, because this Thomas Cromwell shaped a great revolution in his own country's affairs, which has in turn shaped much of the modern world, not least that still Protestant power, the United States of America. Cromwell may have wished to remain an enigma, yet the main reason that we find him enigmatic is not personal choice, but a particular archival circumstance. His papers were confiscated by the Crown when he was arrested in 1540, and that is why we still have them, divided now between the National Archives, where the Victorians unhelpfully rearranged them from the original bundles, and the British Library, papers filched from the main hoard in the 17th century. Elsewhere, there is no more than the scattering in the correspondence of others that one would expect of a great man of the realm in the early Tudor age. The confiscation is a stroke of luck for us, albeit not for him at the time. But there is a problem. When sifting through the vast collection, not including his formidable traces in the general administrative papers of Tudor government, one thing becomes obvious. From his muniment room, we have virtually exclusively the in-tray, where outgoing letters from Cromwell himself survive in this collection. With a little experience, one can usually account for their presence. By and large, they reappeared at home at times when he was away, and were therefore filed as incoming and not outgoing correspondence, or were returned by some conscientious official, coupled with an answer to questions they contained. Otherwise, the pattern, the vast absence, is quite consistent. We might come to the casual conclusion that it would be logical for Cromwell's archive to consist of the letters he received, but this is not how Tudor archives worked. The same febrile atmosphere in spring 1540 that brought Cromwell to the scaffold resulted in a further private archive passing into the hands of the king, that of Arthur Plantagenet Lord Lisle, Deputy of Calais, imprisoned in the Tower of London for reasons which will become apparent in due course. In Lisle's voluminous papers, superbly published and edited by a single-minded benefactor of Tudor scholarship, Muriel Sinclair Byrne, with an endearing partisanship for her subject, we have both in-tray and out-tray. The latter is normally represented by the last draft of the letter before my lord signed a fair copy for dispatch, often interestingly covered in second thoughts. This is almost universally missing from Cromwell's papers. If so slapdash and unbusinesslike a nobleman as Lord Lisle could adhere to best archival practice of the day, true, he had an excellent staff and a strong-minded, efficient wife, how much more would that be the case with the mastermind of the Tudor Revolution in government? So meticulous and orderly a mind as Cromwell's would have made sure that his letters were there, ready for reference in case of need. In fact, there is inferential evidence that his archive was organised into categories of in-tray and out-tray, through the survival of a third category of document, his remembrances.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?